Hello and welcome to our 6th annual Veterans Day event, coming to you virtually from the City of Weston City Hall and brought to you by a wonderful partnership between the YMCA of South Florida and the City of Weston. My name is Colonel Kip Lassner. I'm an officer in the Army Reserves and also honored to serve on the Weston YMCA Family Centers Advisory Board. This is our 6th event. We started this with the vision of how we can show our appreciation to the military and first responders within our community. And it started as a small event within our Weston Center, where we maybe had 30 to 40 residents and veterans that joined us. And over the years, we've met to see how we can do it bigger, better, and reach more veterans and show our appreciation on this one day a year where we get to thank our veterans. And last year, proud to say that we had 250 veterans spanning all the way from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, through the present, join us for our event. And after that event, we got together and said, we're going to do it better. We're going to reach more veterans. And of course, we were hit with the pandemic earlier this year. And instead of saying we're going to cancel it, it's quite the opposite. We said, well, this will give us an opportunity. How can we do it where we reach more veterans? And we can, not only within Weston, but South Florida, all of Florida and our nation. And here we are. That's what was the birth of our virtual event. And we're so happy that we're able to come to you today to express our appreciation for our veterans. So I joined the Army Reserves 34 years ago. Yes, 34 years ago. And I can tell you that there's not a time that I put on this uniform that I don't stop to reflect on the proud 245-year history of the Army, since the day General George Washington took command of the Continental Army to the present. And of course, thereafter, shortly thereafter, our U.S. Navy was founded, the Coast Guard, Marines, and in 1947, the Air Force. And together, that makes up our nation's military, and those that have served are veterans. And we come together on this one day of year to show our appreciation and to thank those who have served. Currently in the nation, we have less than 20 million veterans out there, and that number is shrinking somewhat because less than 1% of our population serve in the military are all volunteer military. And of course, we are losing, unfortunately, about 20 veterans a day are taken by suicide. And so we can't let that continue. And so through efforts like this, through efforts like you'll see put on by the YMCA, we will work tirelessly until we put an end to those terrible numbers. And so with that, I always, as a board member, we always come up and talk about our why story. My why story has changed rather dramatically in the last 2 years, but I'll tell you how my why story began and what brought me to become a member of the advisory board. 12 years ago, I joined the Weston Family Center, and as I was signing up to join, the staffer that was working there looked at me, and I happened to be wearing a U.S. Army t-shirt and said, "Oh, are you in the military?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, well, we have these benefits available to you, and this is what we do for our veterans." And I thought to myself, you know, we could do better as an organization to reach out to our veterans and bring them within the YMCA family and organization rather than just sort of, luckily I had the t-shirt on. And shortly thereafter, I became a member of the advisory board, and we've worked tirelessly to forge partnerships with our veteran community, not just here in Weston, but entirely in South Florida and the nation. We have wonderful partnerships with the Coast Guard Station, with Southern Command, and work hand in hand in every opportunity that we can to bring veterans into our organization and provide services that they may need. So that was the beginning of my story, and my story changed 2 years ago. Unfortunately, I was in a freak accident at home. I was hit in the head and wound up having emergency surgery, and I was in intensive care for 8 days. Suffice to say, almost didn't make it out of that one, and that was almost exactly 2 years ago now. But battled through, and as my wonderful kids, Emily, Jared, and Hannah, can tell you, when I was released from the hospital, the first question to the doctor was, when can I get back to the Y? And he said, 120 days. I said, 60. He said, how about 90? I said, okay, I'll do 90. And on the 91st day, I was back into the Weston Family Center and really surrounded by my friends, staff members, the community, and actually found myself availing myself of all of the wonderful benefits and outreach that we've done for veterans. So where I supported creating those, the outreach and the partnerships, I actually found myself now taking advantage of them. And I'm happy to say 2 years later that I am bigger, stronger, and more powerful both mentally and physically thanks to the YMCA, my family, the community, and all of the staff members of the Y. So with that, we have a wonderful agenda for you today, some great speakers. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start off with the presentation of colors and the singing of the national anthem. Erica Sumner. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket drive clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Erica Sumner, an amazing voice, and she volunteers to participate in this event every year, and we couldn't thank her enough. I want to thank the Broward Sheriff's Office for already posting the colors as we began, and Broward Sheriff's Fire Rescue. They've supported us throughout all of these years as well and been great partners. So with that, I would now like to take a moment to introduce the President and CEO of the Y of South Florida, Cheryl Woods. Cheryl has been the leader of the South Florida YMCA since August 2007. She has made a significant impact on our South Florida community by growing Y locations in Pembroke Pines, Weston, Hollywood, and Miami-Dade, as well as over 100 after-school, special needs, youth, and senior health outreach sites. Additionally, under her leadership, the YMCA of Broward County and the YMCA of Miami-Dade merged to become one of the largest nonprofits in South Florida. Cheryl's vision for the YMCA is to seek out community partnerships for expansion of quality facilities, programs, and services to improve the reach in Broward County and Miami-Dade County. Under Cheryl's leadership, the association has recently added 2 new family centers in the city of Miami as well as Hollandale Park, and she is working very hard to secure her newest location in Fort Lauderdale. I'm honored to present Cheryl today. Her vision has really supported this event, and without her support, we would never have been able to put this all together. So please welcome our CEO, Cheryl Woods.
Thank you, Kip, and it's such an honor to be here today, and love your story, love everything that you represent, and thank you for serving on behalf of all of us as civilians, Kip. We appreciate that. The YMCA is proud to partner with the City of Weston and our BSO Law Enforcement and Fire and Rescue team to honor our servicemen and women on this very special day. I'd also like to acknowledge our local staff and volunteers team for giving us this opportunity to honor everyone on this special holiday. John, Pete, Kip, and all of the rest of the staff team and volunteer team, thank you so much for all that you do for our Weston community. Veterans Day is a tribute to our military veterans who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Not to be confused with Memorial Day, which honors those who have died while in service, but Veterans Day honors all military veterans, including those still alive. So why is Veterans Day so important? Well, first of all, it gives us a chance to thank all of the military men and women for risking their lives to defend America. It is important that veterans feel valued by us for their service and their sacrifice. Veterans Day also gives us a chance to reflect on the importance of peace. While our military are often thought of in a war context, most veterans will tell you that they've risked their lives to defend our freedom. So Veterans Day really encourages all of us to reflect on the value of harmony and peace, especially within our daily lives and in our daily interactions. And finally, this day also draws attention to the challenges and sacrifices facing our veterans, to acknowledge these challenges so that we can make sure that our veterans have the best possible chance of living in a healthy and fulfilling life after their days of service. So we all know the Y has a long history in serving so many diverse communities. You know, for over 170 years, the Y has been instrumental in strengthening our communities through our youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility areas of focus. As a matter of fact, did you know the Y has its own armed services branch, with many locations throughout the United States? The YMCA had always helped servicemen and women, civilians during times of war, but the Y was instrumental in bringing national, religious, and community organizations together to pull their efforts together for World War II. The United States organization, or as we call it, the USO, as it is best known, was created to help servicemen and civilians during World War II, both in the United States and abroad the combat zones. Today, the Armed Services YMCA core programmatic focus is on the resiliency of our military families. Military life presents unique challenges for the entire family unit. That's why the Y provides experiences to help those families navigate military life. Amidst all of the transfers, the deployments, the increased need for childcare, and all the financial burdens they may encumber. Programs like these are usually offered at either low cost or no cost and require no membership fee. That's pretty special. So that's why I'm so proud to have such a wonderful career in this organization, the YMCA, but also more importantly, I am so proud to be an American and to work for an organization that has done so much work on behalf of our servicemen and women. But we still have a lot more work to do in order to continue to support our veterans. So on behalf of the YMCA, I want to thank all of our veterans and let you know how much we appreciate you. Thank you for your service and for your dedication to defend our freedom. Now, I would like to share with you a quick video that tells a little bit more about the YMCA's support of our military families.
YMCAs and the military have enjoyed a relationship that predates the Civil War. Ys have always sought out young men to assist, and the fact that men went into the military simply meant that the YMCA followed them there. In 1861, a conference with President Abraham Lincoln led to the full-scale recruitment of YMCA volunteers. Eventually numbering 5,000, members of the U.S. Christian Commission served as surgeons, nurses, and chaplains during the Civil War. The volunteers distributed medical supplies, food, and clothing, and taught soldiers to read and write. In the period between the Civil War and the Spanish-American War, YMCA work with the military consisted mainly of providing writing tents and Bible studies for the men. The outbreak of war with Spain saw a repeat of YMCA efforts during the Civil War. Y's raised military units and followed the flag to the Philippines and Cuba, attending to the needs of servicemen, prisoners of war, and non-combatants. In September 1898, a YMCA Armed Services Department was established, and in 1902, Congress authorized the erection of permanent YMCA facilities on military bases. By 1914, there were 31 military YMCAs and 180 traveling libraries. Almost 250,000 men stayed in their dormitories. The YMCA had an extensive presence in the military during the period before World War I. Throughout World War I, the YMCA provided morale and welfare services for the military. Almost 26,000 YMCA staff and volunteers fed and entertained more troops during World War I than did any other welfare organization, including the Knights of Columbus and the Salvation Army. World War II saw a continuation of YMCA services for the military and displaced persons. During World War II, the YMCA, along with 5 other national voluntary organizations, founded the United Service Organizations for National Defense, today known as the USO. The scale of the YMCA's efforts during World War II is seen not only in its USO work, but also in the number of prisoners of war assisted through YMCA efforts. It is believed that between 1939 and 1945, YMCA's worked with or supplied the bulk of the financing for working with some 6 million POWs in more than 36 countries. Since then, American servicemen and women have been engaged in other wars, including Vietnam, the Korean War, the Gulf War, and more recently, conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the YMCA has been there for them, providing support to military personnel and their families in various ways.
Wasn't that a great video? As you can see, the Y does some great work with our armed services. Again, I am so honored and so privileged to be an American. Now, I would like to introduce Mayor Sturmer, our mayor for the city of Weston. Mayor Sturmer has been a great partner to the YMCA, and together we have done some incredible work here in our city. Mayor, you're one of the most important leaders in this community. You have been an incredible leader here in South Florida, and I want you to know how much we appreciate all of your hard work, dedication, and service to not only local government, but everything that you have done in the past for our overall community, and for helping us to celebrate Veterans Day. Mayor Sturmer.
Thank you, Cheryl, and I appreciate the very kind words, and good afternoon, good day, everybody. For those of you that I don't know, as Cheryl said, I'm Mayor Sturmer, and it's my privilege to speak to you today on Veterans Day, to acknowledge those that valiantly served our country. I want to first thank the YMCA, the Broward Sheriff's Office, and every veteran, whether you're here today or you're at home watching this on TV, because your service to our country is of paramount need, and we need to thank you for that. What you did, we have an all-volunteer armed forces, and regardless of which branch of the armed services you volunteered for, you were prepared to give the ultimate sacrifice. And for that, we must, and we do, say thank you. I make sure every day that I say thank you to our police and firefighters. I've now added veterans to that because, you know what, for a long time I didn't. And it was my oversight that every day, if I see a veteran, I feel compelled to thank them. And I ask every member of our community to do the same. Because the experiences veterans have, whether home or abroad, have shaped their lives. They have fought for our flag. And for that, 2 simple words, thank you, is all we ask. It's not a difficult thing to do, much less you're teaching a civics lesson to those younger. One of the reasons I do my community service is to show my kids how to give back. And veterans need to be thanked for their sacrifice away from their families, young or old, regardless. They gave their time, their heart, their soul, and their blood for our country. And for that, 2 simple words is all we ask. So on this day, I want to recognize the Brigadier General, the colonels, and every other member that's here to say thank you for what you did for our country then and what you do for our community today. Because you are leaders. You are role models. And for us, we need to say thank you. I want to thank specifically Cheryl Woods and everybody from the YMCA, John Antonelli, and every member of the team who put this event together. A few years ago, we didn't have such an event here in the city of Weston, and in partnership with the Broward Sheriff's Office in the city, we felt it important enough to do so and continue to do so. And every year, the Y has excelled and made this event bigger and better and more inclusive. During this crazy time of COVID-19, getting people together is not something we can do. So we come to you today virtually, but doesn't reduce or diminish how we feel about our veterans and the need to say thank you. So on this Veterans Day, I, on behalf of Commissioner Coleman, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Jaffe, and Commissioner Molina McPhee, wish to extend our sincere thanks to each and every veteran. But just as important to thank the veteran, we must thank your family. Because just like we do in public service, you did in your commitment to our country, your family sacrificed. And they must be thanked as well. Colonel, Brigadier General, thank you for everything you've done. It's truly appreciated. God bless you, God bless the United States, and God bless every veteran that has served our country.
Thank you, Mayor Sturmer. Well done, as usual. And you're right, we owe a lot of gratitude to all of our military and also to you. So thank you. Recently, I had the privilege of interviewing several veterans who shared with me some incredible stories about their service time in the military. I was so honored and humbled by their stories, probably one of the best highlights of my career. I wish I had time to show you all the footage of our time together, but I have chosen some of the video highlights to share with you today. Let's take a look. Why is it important, and why are you so excited about the Y celebrating Veterans Day?
First, how we got involved is that, we owe so much to the veterans and the people that have gone before us, going back to the revolution. And a country that forgets its veterans, the people that gave us the freedom we have today, are doomed to lose it eventually if we get away from honoring the people that do. Because nobody's going to want to serve. Nobody's going to serve if nobody cares. And so we saw it was just being taken for granted. The war has been going on for a while, and nobody was really paying attention to anybody. And so a couple of our board members said, you know what, we got to do something. And so they rallied around, they got in contact with the city, and we started it. It was a small little group of about 15 people in one of the rooms at the Y. We gave a quick speech. We said a few things nice about veterans. We passed out some donuts. And the response from that on the faces of the veterans, and we're talking, there were some World War II, some Korean, a lot of Vietnam War veterans, just being able to tell their stories was so powerful that it just kind of took off from there.
Right. And isn't it interesting that the Y has this history of where we have opportunities to go into communities or even globally, nationally, locally, and take something like Veterans Day up a few notches and have the captive audience to be able to talk about this topic so that maybe we can influence people, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
To continue to love our vets.
There's so many today that are served by so few. Unlike other generations, World War II, for instance, where the whole world was at war and it was on the news every day and you had victory gardens, you had everybody pitching in and there was rationing. Today, unless you have somebody in the military or a friend that has a child in the military, you wouldn't even know what was going on. It hasn't affected anybody's life, and that's the thing that concerns me the most, and that's why we've got to keep this on the forefront when we talk about veterans and Veterans Day. It's
Yep.
very, very important.
Yep. You have one son that has decided to somewhat follow in your footsteps. I mean, didn't chase the Navy, but chased the Army.
Yep, it skips a generation. in
Yeah,
our
I guess
family
so. But was that okay?
there. Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that okay? Are there battles in the household? When
Army-Navy game is a big
Kind of a
day in
big
the
deal,
household,
yeah,
but
yeah.
other than that, I'm super proud of everything he's done. His birthday is today, as a matter of fact, he's 25 years old today.
Wow.
And he is, as we speak, he's actively deployed in Afghanistan. He's in the 1st Special Forces Battalion. And he, last I heard, was about 2.5 weeks ago. He was up in the mountains between Pakistan and Afghanistan doing whatever those guys do.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to put your third hat on. Now
Okay.
you're a dad. What's that feel like?
Incredibly proud of him. Incredibly proud of him. He joined the military after 1 year in college, and it just wasn't working out for him. He just didn't have that discipline, kind of like I had, but he didn't do well in school. We brought him home, and I asked, I said, you know, you're going to either get a job or you're going to go to Broward College here. So the day I came home from work, I said, how was your first day of school at Broward College? He goes, I didn't go. I went, here we go again, right? And he said, well, I did do something. I said, what'd you do? He goes, I joined the Army. And I was like, wow. And I said, why'd you join the Army? He goes, because I want to do something really hard. And I got something to prove to myself. And he loves it. He loves it. And again, I'm super proud of him for that.
Wow.
I worry about him, obviously, every single day. But that's something you got to separate. You
Right.
can't dwell on it.
I know, but it's got to be hard. I mean, it's okay for you to go off and do that, right? And you to have the DNA to survive some of that. But for one of your kids to do that, and a son to do that, I mean, it's got to be kind of emotional at times.
It is. It is. He sent me some pictures. You know, he told me some stories about, you know, a skirmish that they got into, and I was like, well, you know, it was very abstract until I saw the pictures, and then it really came home. It was,
Yeah.
this is the real deal. This is not a video game.
Right.
And so, which brings me back to so many serving so few, and they do it willingly. This is an all volunteer force. And the military and the government wants to keep it that way because you have very highly motivated people that love to serve.
Right.
There are things that they get out of it, you know, education, skills, things of that nature. But for everything that they put into it, that we give them back, you know, they give us so much more.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Cheryl. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm loving that logo on that shirt.
Well, every day for the past 15
representing
years.
T-Mobile, right?
Absolutely.
And you guys being a sponsor for us.
Well, it's a great honor.
Yeah, talk about that. Why is T-Mobile so excited about being a part of our Veterans Day celebration?
Well, T-Mobile, I mean, in its own is a great company to be a part of. As you can see, we're establishing our brand. We have a mission to hire 10,000 veterans by the year of 2023.
Wow.
T-Mobile has invested a lot in us veterans, you know, in the community, and just looking to give back. So that alone, aside from, you know, selling cell phones and being a cell phone provider, is what we're aiming for. Not just, you know, being a company that sells devices and accessories, but a brand. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what makes T-Mobile so amazing.
Just, Ronnie, maybe share a fond memory or something that, you know, kind of takes you back to those days of serving.
Well, there's quite a bit of stories and fond memories that, you know, we could recall. One of the most significant ones for me was being elected as Soldier of the Year at the young age of 19. This is something that was pretty much thrown at me as an opportunity. I was like, okay, what is this? So you have the opportunity to go against multiple soldiers, and I was chosen. I was elected. I pretty much succeeded straight out of high school. I was like, wow, super proud of myself and the commitment that I put into it. And being elected for the Brigade Soldier of the Year was a big moment for my career. It pretty much catapulted me to where I wanted to go. As a result, that just made me more hungry to go to the next challenge and the next level. So those are opportunities that the military instills in you and gives you those opportunities to shine. And when you do the right thing, you stand out.
So when you decided to leave the military and come back to civilian life, how was that? Was that transition easy, challenging?
At the moment, it was challenging. I mean, I didn't know what the next step was going to look like. It was about to have my first daughter being born, Gianna. So that kind of influenced me into saying, okay, you know what, let's stay home now. Because it was, okay, give birth, go home, and then go back overseas. So I was like, no, let's make this decision the right way. I started seeking jobs, and that's when I landed T-Mobile. One of my best friends was already working with the company. He's like, you'll be a great fit, just apply. I said, okay, cool. 15 years later, here we are, still with T-Mobile.
Wow. Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. And so what words of wisdom do you have for all of us about, as civilians, and how we should honor our veterans and just, you know, continuing the tradition of this holiday?
Well, like I said in the beginning, it's appreciation, right? Learn to appreciate the little things, be humble, and be thankful. Don't take anything for granted. Nothing's given, everything's earned. It's super important to learn to appreciate the little things in life and make the best out of every situation, because you never know how bad the other person has it.
Right. And ways to honor our civilians, or I'm sorry, our military, I know is always very important, and acknowledging that sacrifice that all of you've made, right?
Correct.
So, and proud to be an American. I
Absolutely.
mean, how blessed are we really each and every day? No matter what the crisis we may be facing, we always know it could be worse.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I
But to
totally
be an
agree.
American and have the freedom, thanks to you all.
This is a great country. I mean, having visited other countries, throughout my career, I could tell the difference. And this is a beautiful country that we should be very thankful to be a part of. The opportunities that are provided to us are by far great. I mean, something as simple as the Y, somewhere to hang out after school and have somebody to help you, guide you, mentor you is so important.
Right.
And those are things that other countries don't have the luxury of seeing. So that's so important. That's why I'm thankful for this country and our veterans.
So now you were in the Marines.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, how'd you choose the Marines?
Growing up, I always was the type to, defend my friends, in our little circle of friends, and defend others. And I grew up in a war-torn country in Colombia in the early 90s. And I actually came to the States in early 2001. And I always had a passion for, the military and helping others and defending other people that couldn't defend themselves. So, I was too young to serve then. And I actually remember witnessing the 9/11 attacks. And I remember thinking to myself, I wish there was a way that I can help, rid the world of this evil.
Do you think it's made you a better person?
Absolutely, and I also think that my mother did a phenomenal job raising me. She was very strict and very tough on me, but I
So
appreciate
she
that
prepared
to this
you for
day.
the military, right?
Absolutely,
Way to go, Mom.
yeah.
Way to go. So it made you a better person. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
Tell me how.
It
Tell me
did.
how.
It definitely teaches you an appreciation of life, which I thought I had a good general understanding of the appreciation that you need to have growing up and coming from a war-torn country and then coming to the States where everything is beautiful. But the Marine Corps just even magnified that even more by allowing me to see other places that are in not great shape, and you really learn to appreciate the American way of life and how beautiful and how wonderful it is to be part of a country that stands up for the needy and stands up for the weak when they can't stand up for themselves.
Well said, German. Well said. You are way beyond your years in the way you perceive life and appreciate life. So that's pretty special. So you were deployed
Yes, ma'am.
in different locations, hot zones, right?
Yes.
And were you nervous, scared, proud?
I was extremely proud to be chosen to go out to these locations. Like I said, I've been in a lot of places around the world, Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and in all these places, I saw the things that we were doing in these areas and how much help we were giving to the local population. And it just made me proud to say that, as an American, I'm not just worried about my backyard, sort of say. As an American, I'm actually trying to help others. And that's, that goes one in one with my lifelong desire to help, to be
Right.
that defender of others.
So Jerry, what was it like to receive that letter and be drafted?
To be one of the chosen few was an honor.
Oh,
And I didn't have a choice. If you don't go, they get you. But it was very interesting, really not knowing what to expect. I chose the Navy for a variety of reasons.
were you scared at any point or wanted to go home during this time?
Those are stories we don't tell on television. No, I really wasn't. It was, truthfully, it was wonderful.
It was a good experience. Was it hard leaving home?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, you're doing everything. There's no mama to take care of you.
Sure.
I mean, you're outside at boot camp at wintertime. You're washing your clothes, you hang them outside in the freezing weather, as was in Great Lakes. Your clothes are stiff.
Are frozen.
But you learn to do it, and that you are doing things. And I think if I had to transmit a message to anybody. They're giving you an opportunity that you'll never ever have in your life. The experience that you get, you're working literally on millions of dollars worth of equipment.
Was it a great experience for you, as you said?
Oh, the
that-
people, the countries, they were magnificent. I mean, I was down in Cuba, Dominican Republic, overseas we were in Italy, Greece. We had, the United States had an incident where we had Albania was going to invade Greece at that time. And oh my God, they called me. I have to work with, we're carrying live munition. We're all set, really. It was a very serious type of thing.
Did that ever scare you that what gets fired may come back?
When you sign up, you are really signing and saying that I am willing to give my life for whatever it is for my country. I belong to an organization called TAPS. I'm in philanthropy. That's an organization that serves the widows, the widowers, the children of men who are killed in action. It brings tears to my eyes that these young people give their lives for their country. And a lot of people, they don't care, they're not interested, they don't understand the price of freedom that others have paid for the life that we lead in this country.
So that's a good message, Jerry. That's a really good message, because that's why we celebrate Veterans Day, right?
I would think every day we should celebrate.
So it's not just about war, it's really about freedom, right?
Very much so. And it's a balance of powers that different countries have to maintain. You're seeing it in today's world, but I don't think people understand what warfare would be. Not to be too philosophical, but I was born in this country. It was a privilege. It's not something that you get for granted. And I think that, particularly in the city of Weston, you're going to meet people who come from countries where they didn't have the freedom, where they had hyperinflation, when they had starvation. And being able to appreciate what you have is a gift of God.
Well, Jerry, you're an amazing man. We love you for your service. We appreciate everything that you did to give us the freedom that we have. And,
I'm honored and my pleasure.
Well, it is my honor and pleasure, sir. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Amazing. Weren't those stories just amazing? I want to thank all of our veterans for their service. I want to thank those veterans who shared their story with us today and added so much to our event. Thank you so much. It is now my honor to introduce retired Brigadier General Christopher Eddy. General Eddy was the mobilization assistant to the Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance, Headquarters, U.S. Air Force, Washington, D.C. In his civilian career, he was the Intelligence Program Manager at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Miami, Florida. It's my honor to introduce General Eddy.
Thank you, and good day. And it's always great to speak to fellow veterans, their families, and supporters. When I had my retirement ceremony at the Pentagon just a couple of years ago, my 8-year-old daughter asked me if retiring was the same thing as getting fired, except for nobody yells at you. I thought that was the perfect explanation. And then when I told her I was getting the awesome opportunity to speak to fellow veterans again, she wanted to know why I didn't get it right the first time. So after serving for about 30 years in the Air Force, I found some commonalities from all who served, whether for 1 year or for 40 years. The first one was passion. Those who served would work 16 to 20 hours straight and still smile. That sense of mission, that sense of purpose, and not letting down your squad mate. That's passion. That's probably the hardest thing to try to convey to those who haven't experienced it. Second is living in the moment. I've fallen into the trap of excessively planning what's coming down the road, and I've often missed the scenery flying by my windows. When we were in the military, even though planning was a big part of the mission, we tended to live in the moment for self-preservation and for focus. I'll forever have etched into my brain the F-16s taking off from Osan Air Base at dusk with their afterburners glowing in the night. And I'll always remember the generosity and kindness of those in airports who would come and thank us for our service and clap for the honor flight veterans attending their missions. I'd also like to thank family members for their service. When military members deploy, they have it easy compared to the families they left behind. They're able to focus their mission and their teammates while their significant others take over their roles and worry about their loved ones' safety. So family members, thank you for your sacrifices. Now, you don't necessarily need to join the military, although if you're looking for a challenge to improve yourself and to find a purpose in life, that's where you need to be. You can also advocate for veterans in the military, even if it's as simple as writing letters to deployed service members or helping the YMCA in their veterans outreach programs. You know, there seems to be a lot of angst and tension in the country today. Some wonder what our role should be on the world stage. Some wonder about the future of our great nation, but nobody wonders about the capability and expertise of our military. The military we left is still the best in the world, and it's not even close. And it's more than the technology, it's the people. Sure, our systems and weapons are the best, but it's our people that make the difference. Veterans Day is a great reminder to honor those who served the country in war and peace and thanking them for their sacrifices. The people in our armed services, past and present, are real people who protect our freedom every day. At this moment, there are teenagers and young men and women standing watch somewhere on a Navy vessel in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There are airmen on a 100-degree tarmac fixing an aircraft before takeoff. There are Marine Corps members conducting training on remote mountaintops miles and miles away from their base. And there are Army soldiers walking the line to make sure their troops are safe. And the U.S. Coast Guard is constantly on watch, protecting our shores and rescuing those in need. So let's not take for granted the freedoms that we have. Let's recognize, thank, and show those who have served our country how much we appreciate them. And I'll leave you with this. As I get older, there are very few things that remain crystal clear in my mind, but my wedding ceremony, the birth of my children, shaking hands with the president. But you know what I can vividly recall from a sunny day on May 10th, 1986, over 34 years ago, when I raised my hand and was sworn into military service, and I have never put that hand down. And I'm sure other veterans feel the same way. And we'll continue to serve this great nation in whatever capacity required, because we're veterans, and that's what we do. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, General Eddie, sir, and thank you for being a part of our event today. I want to take a moment and talk about all that we do here at the YMCA. As you can hear, the YMCA does a lot of work in the community. You've seen some of the great work we are doing with veterans today, but we also have some amazing work during our current crisis through Community Crisis Fund. We have been able to provide child care for first responders and essential workers. We have fed seniors who did not have the means to get food, and the Y provided financial assistance to families whose parents were out of work. During these difficult times, we make sure families that need our help have the resources they need. These are just a few of the many examples of the Y touching lives in our community.
Please give to the YMCA's Community Crisis Fund today to help support all of the great work the Y is doing each and every day in our community, just like our Veterans Day event today. You know, COVID is affecting everyone. Our community is still hurting and very much in need of Y services. From food distributions to even helping people pay their rent and utilities, the Y has been doing some meaningful work supporting our neighbors facing unusual financial hardships and unfamiliar situations, especially during this time. It's not about you or me as individuals, it's about us as a community. During these uncertain times, your donation can help sustain the outreach work the YMCA is doing. Your donation can indeed make a difference. Please help the Y be there for our community. Please give to the YMCA Community Crisis Fund today.
With that, at this time, I would like to welcome Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz to the program. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has dedicated her public life to serving South Floridians and standing up for justice, equality, and opportunity wherever and whenever it is threatened. As Florida's first Jewish Congresswoman, she has earned the respect of her colleagues for working tirelessly on behalf of seniors, children, families for nearly 3 decades. First sworn into the U.S. House of Representatives in 2005, Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz previously served in the Florida House of Representatives and Florida Senate, where she originally displayed her philosophy that there is no task too small and no goal too big. Currently, Debbie Wasserman Schultz serves as a cardinal on the Appropriations Committee, making history as the first ever woman to chair the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Subcommittee, where she is committed to ensuring our nation's veterans have the resources and support they need. On a personal note, I am proud and honored to call Debbie Wasserman Schultz a friend. I can promise you that there is no better representative of our community as Debbie and all that she's done on behalf of our community, our country, and most importantly for today's event, our veterans. With that, please welcome Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Hello, I'm Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and this Veterans Day, it's my honor to pay a special thank you to all of the brave women and men who have served and continue to serve in our armed forces. In choosing this path, you put our country and the freedoms it stands for first, and your own life, family, and career second. For that, we are eternally grateful. However, on Veterans Day, words of praise, parades, and silent reflection never seem to be enough. On this day, all Americans, especially those who have never donned a uniform, must reckon with the debt that we all owe the men and women who serve. Today especially, but every day, I am proud to be in a unique position in Washington to help repay that debt. Amid this challenging moment we're living through, it's important that the sacrifice made by our veterans not be overlooked or underappreciated. This COVID-19 pandemic is, hopefully, a once-in-a-century event that dramatically changed our lives this year. More than 220,000 American lives have been lost since this coronavirus struck, many dying alone without their loved ones around them. And tens of millions of jobs have disappeared in that same time too, each creating a ripple effect that puts families in turmoil. Congress must take further action to ensure we put families first, and do it now. As chair of the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Appropriations Subcommittee, I'm proud that we were able to include nearly $20 billion to ensure veterans' healthcare needs are met in the CARES Act, whether that's at the VA or local ERs and clinics. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act includes $60 million for the VA to pay for COVID-19 testing for veterans. Of course, in a historic crisis like this, that won't be enough. The HEROES Act, which passed the House in May, includes provisions that would prevent veterans from being burdened with co-pays or cost-sharing for COVID-19 treatment, and includes critical expansions to ensure more veterans have access to health care during this crisis. All Americans deserve that much from their government, but especially those who served in our armed forces. It is our duty as Americans to ensure that veterans can access the benefits and services that they so rightly deserve, including comprehensive health services, employment and educational opportunities, and support for their families. In Washington and here at home, each day, we all must pay the huge debt that we owe to our brave veterans. But we know it's never enough. Please know, I'll continue to ensure that we care for our veterans and provide them with the benefits, services, and respect they so dearly deserve. On this Veterans Day, I know you will all join me in this mission. Again, thank you all so much for your service.
Thank you, Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz. And that concludes our program this year. I want to thank the YMCA of South Florida, the City of Weston, and all of our sponsors who have made this possible. But most of all, we want to thank all of you for joining us today. We also want to encourage you to recognize our veterans throughout the day. Thank them for their sacrifice and their service. Happy Veterans Day, and have a great rest of your day.